Peace is possible. Peace is necessary. Peace takes work. Peace is a way of life. Peace is you because you have power. Welcome to the Peace is Power podcast with Dr. Janae Avon Harris. And remember, while these podcasts can be helpful in your journey, they are not intended to replace formal counseling and therapy. What's up? It is Dr. Avon Harris. I know normally when I come to you with these conversations, I usually have a guest with me. However, there are times where I feel like something just pops up in my mind, or I've been reflecting on something and I just want to jump in and kind of spend a few minutes talking about it. And I've been thinking about the idea of authenticity for the last couple of days. And oftentimes, what happens, I think, in popular culture is that we have terms and even diagnoses I've seen lately that are rooted in the mental health community get transferred over to, I think, popular culture. And sometimes those words tend to be overused or misused or not used in context. And so I am one that pushes that, supports the idea of authenticity. I feel like people should live congruent lives. Carl Rogers talks about congruence. People should live authentically to themselves, right? That I shouldn't have to put on a mask, so to speak, in front of people, that I should be able to live who I am. However, I think the idea of authenticity has been taken out of context and somewhat been watered down. Because here are a couple of things that came to mind for me. So people are like, yeah, I'm gonna be authentic, I'm gonna be me, but you can't be you if you don't know you. And so often I still feel like even in our quest to be authentic, we are not living congruent because we don't know ourselves. If we think about a first date, right? There's a list of questions that you have for this person who could be your potential partner. You may ask them, what makes them smile, what makes them laugh, where do they see themselves in 10 years, what are their values, all these questions. And so often the questions that we ask of other people that we expect these really deep answers to, we wouldn't know how to answer for ourselves. We wouldn't know what to say back to us if I asked me, where do I see myself in 10 years? If I ask me for a really honest answer about what gives me energy, if I ask me what makes me scared, what am I afraid of, those questions are very, very important. So I would say to you in your quest to be authentic, to take as much care as you would with choosing a partner and knowing the answers that they would give to that, to know those answers for yourself, not the version that you created, not the version of yourself that maybe you felt you've had to be over the years, but the true raw version of you, right? How would you answer those questions? And even starting with, do I know myself? The second thing that I think is that we have talked about authenticity without accountability. And those two do not have to be mutually exclusive, meaning I can be who I am and be a better version. As a fact, the parts of me that I'll use me for example. So, the one thing that is authentic about me is that sometimes I am a little mouthy. Sometimes I say things with my words that are not really, really good to say. They're really, really hurtful, right? So early in my marriage, my husband was actually the one who told me, listen, you ain't really about to talk to me like that. And I was like, what? And I realized that I was like, this is me. And it's like, no, this is not me. This is a coping mechanism that I have found to cover up for the real me. Because the real me, we talk about Enneagram, 6 on Enneagram. The real me is scared. It's scared that people will leave. The real me doesn't want to be caught off guard. The real me doesn't like any surprises. The real me doesn't want to be abandoned. So what I do to cover up that is I try to hurt you first, right? With my words. Like I try to be like, you ain't gonna get me, you ain't gonna catch me off guard. So sometimes what we actually think is authenticity are coping mechanisms that we've used over the years that we now have adapted as our personality, and it's really not our personality. And so, what accountability does is it causes us to reflect and say, is this me or is this the version of me that I felt I had to create? Is this me, or is this a version of me that was created out of that toxic relationship? Is this me, or is this the version of me I created work? Because I got a whole lot of imposter syndrome going on, and I don't know if I feel like I belong here. Is this me? And so I would just encourage you to not make authenticity and accountability mutually exclusive. They can go hand in hand. You can be you and be a better version of you. And so, what I have learned over the years is to stop, take a minute, process what's going on for me in this moment. I feel like I need to react this way, and then try to change my reaction. All right. Here's the third thing about accountability. Sometimes you are met with resistance from other people. And this isn't new. And the resistance can come from a multitude of reasons. One being that accountability is not really the norm. And if you, I mean, I'm sorry, authenticity is not really the norm. If you grew up in the culture I grew up in of church, then oftentimes that really is not the place where people are authentic. And so if you show up as your authentic self, it disrupts the norm of that culture. And so people don't like comfortability disrupted. And so when you walk in with your authentic self and you are met with some resistance, that can be a tense place, right? And I'm not, again, I'm saying authenticity and accountability can go together. But oftentimes what I have found too is that when you are authentic, not meaning you're perfect, but just meaning you're walking in congruence. Who you are presenting is congruent with who you are. People who long for that and feel like for whatever reason are not able to walk in their authenticity will become resentful, may become resentful. They may resent the fact that you're able to do that. And so their resistance to you, their pushback to you is not about you, it's about them wanting to be authentic themselves. I have a friend, she has always been who she is. She has always been bold. She has always been authentic. And I tell her all the time, I say, I sometimes wish, even back in the day, I had your ability to be like, this is who I am. I'm showing up congruent in every single space I'm in. And so instead of me resenting that about her, I learned from her. I learned to say, you know what? I can move like I can be who I am in these different spaces. And now you may get some fallout. You know, authenticity don't necessarily mean everybody gonna be your friend. It don't necessarily mean that everybody gonna get with you, but it does mean that you live in a way that is congruent to who you are. And so I just want to encourage you about being authentic, because I think that we have romanticized it just like we romanticize self-care, but that's another topic for another day. We have romanticized authenticity in such a way that it has watered it down, and actually it's not, it doesn't even feel attainable in the way that we have romanticized it. But authenticity takes work, so you got to know who you are before you can be who you are. Authenticity and accountability are not mutually exclusive, they can work hand in hand. And then the third one, be prepared that you may meet some resistance to your ability to fully walk congruent with who you are. And so, but then the fourth one is that there is a freedom that comes with being authentic, right? And I think, like, I used to talk about this in metaphors, but the pandemic has given me a tangible example. I used to tell people, like, can you imagine what it's like to wear a mask all day? And then what it would be like to pull that off. And so I used to say, even like in a counseling session, you know, this is your opportunity to pull the mask off and to go, you know, and hey, if you got to put it on, if you're not ready to take it off fully when you walk out this door, then I feel you. You know, I'm good with that. But can you take it off for a little bit while we in this time together? But the pandemic has given us a tangible example of that. And so think about when you have to wear your mask or whatever, the feeling that you get when you get to pull that thing off. It's like a relief. And so with authenticity comes a true freedom, comes a sense of just not walking around holding your breath all the time, not thinking about, well, who was I with this person versus this person, because now I got to keep that image up with that person. Authenticity is like, I'm who I am in all of these different spaces. I know who I am. I'm walking fully in who I am. I'm embracing my differences. I'm embracing what I bring to this table. I'm embracing, I may not talk the way you talk. I'm embracing all parts of me. And so I encourage you to be really be reflective this week about authenticity. What does it look like in your life? How are you living it out? All right. As always, the goal is peace is power, because You can't have peace if you are not being who you are or you're not living authentic. That's just my opinion, right? That there is peace that comes with this authenticity. Also, the disclaimer is these podcast episodes and or little bit snippets of my reflections are not meant to substitute traditional counseling and therapy. This is not meant to be a therapy session. However, I hope that my reflections and insights are able to help you on your journey. All right, so it's authenticity for me this week because peace is power. Peace out.